Hey everybody, and welcome to Halloween 2017. Today's video is a costume vid all about how I customized the dress and wig for my Pennywise. And I am thinking about making this kind of video a series. What you think about that? A series about taking store-bought costumes and using them as base pieces for more elaborate costumes, or even to turn them into different characters altogether. It'd be a series for people who want custom costumes but don't want to start totally from scratch. You know, I have low-key been doing this on my channel for years, but I figured this Halloween would be a great time to give them an official home on my channel. But I haven't thought of a cute name for this series yet, so if you have any cute ideas, leave them in the comments below. So to kick off the series, we are starting with Pennywise, of course. How could I not? The base costume that I am using is called Corpse Countess Costume, provided by HalloweenCostumes.com. Okay, I'm not gonna play you guys though. This costume is expensive, but it had the most potential of any dress I saw online to become the perfect gender-bent Pennywise with minimal adjustments. I totally get it if you don't want to drop a ton of money though. I will link a few more affordable options in the description box as well. That said, you can use any white dress with this kind of like Victorian flair and still follow along this video. This dress is already so perfect for Pennywise that this is going to be one of the easiest transformations that I have done yet. See those three bows right here? We are going to start by taking them off and replacing them with three scraggly little puff balls. Using a seam ripper or some sharp scissors, I'm just going to cut the thread that holds these bows on there. And don't worry, if you are feeling anxious watching me cut up an expensive dress, know that you can always just reattach these bows by hand stitching them back on if you want to restore this dress back to its original Corpse Countess goodness. None of the changes that we are making today are permanent to this dress if you don't want them to be. Now that those three bows are out of here, we are going to make the puffs that will replace them. For this step, I'm going to be using a material that is actually used for making dishcloth. It's like scraggly and it has all these little bits hanging off everywhere. It makes it look kind of like aged and dingy, perfect for an evil clown's puffballs. You can find this in the yarn section of a craft store. Puffs are really easy to make using just your hand and a pair of scissors. I start by taking a piece of yarn and looping it through the middle of my fingers, so between the middle finger and the ring finger. Cut that and just let it hang there for now, we'll come back to that. Now take your yarn and start wrapping it around all of your fingers. Normally, if you were making super cute, full, puffy floof balls, you'd want to wrap it around a lot more than I'm doing here, but for Pennywise, I kind of want it like sad and droopy and not like the best poofs ever, you know? Kind of sad. So, I am going to leave them on the thinner side. Once you've wrapped it around a bit, use that original piece of yarn to tie the middle of your wrapped pieces. I start tying it, then I wiggle my fingers out carefully, and then I finish knotting it, making a tight knot in the center of the poof. Then taking scissors, cut the loops on both sides. Use your fingers to fan them out, and you have your little poof ball. Again, if you want a nice cute poof, you'd probably want to go in and try to even all these yarn pieces out so that it'd be like a nice circle. But for Pennywise, I want them all different lengths because it adds to the disheveled kind of look. I'm even leaving that middle piece really long because it'll hang down all spooky. Normally you would cut that off, but whatever. Now to attach them to our dress, I am taking red thread and just sticking it through the puff ball and then just stitching it straight onto the dress in the same places that the bows were. Run the thread through a few times, knot it off, and the puffs should hold. Do that for all three puffs, and perfect! So one thing this dress is definitely missing is a big poofy clown collar. So for the collar, I recycled something that I already had just laying around my house, a cheap, small, white petty. I'm going to toss it around the neck of my beautiful model here. Looking good. Okay, well, still looks like a tutu, but just around a neck now, I guess, but let's fix it. So, to shorten it and really show off the fluffiness that you want in a clown collar, I pull it up and in so that the bottom of the skirt points outward. Then I use white thread to stitch that so it stays how I want it. Not a pro method by any means here. I am just sticking the needle through the gathered bunch at the top, and then through the waistband, and then back through. Again, this can be a temporary change if you don't want to mess up your petty. All you need to do to revert back to its original form is to just cut the white thread that we are adding now. The last step for the dress is to add some red ribbon around the sleeves. Because the sleeves are stretchy and the ribbon is not, you should take that into consideration when thinking about how you want to attach them. By far the quickest and easiest way around the stretch issue is to attach them with one little thread and then just tie them once you are wearing the dress. To decide how long I want the ribbon to be and where it should be attached, I put the dress on, tie my ribbon how I want it, and then use a straight pin to hold it at its anchor point. Following along Pennywise's? Is that even how you say that? I don't know. The new Pennywise design. I do 2 red ribbons on each arm, tying and pinning each one so that everything is in place for when I take the dress back off. Then I use some red thread to sew the anchor points of those ribbons to the sleeves. Then I untie them and they are ready to go for whenever I put this dress on. I can tie them as tight or as loose as I want. Super, super simple. And that will do it for the dress. Alright, and last up is how I styled my gender-bent Pennywise wig. My goal for this wig was to have that recognizable Pennywise hairline, but for it to be long and kind of wild for our female version. So to kick it off, I am using Rockstar Wig's 22-inch cosplay wig in dark pumpkin orange. And what's up? Look at that cool girl on the box. She looks awesome. Am I right? So I start by putting her on a styrofoam head so we can really jump in there and see what we are doing. First, I use a comb to trace out the general shape of that seriously receding hairline that Pennywise has. I check that these 2 sides are even by pulling them out and just eyeballing it. I mean, if they're not perfect, this is Pennywise we're talking about here. It does not matter. Once I have these all parted out and sectioned off how I want them, I jump in there with the scissors and I just cut those 2 receding sections off, but hang on to them because we will be using that hair again later. Now I am going to take a white ribbon and attach it along the inside of the cap to help reinforce the band since we just chopped it to shreds, and to give us something to glue some additional hair onto. So I'm just going back around that new hairline and hot gluing the ribbon to the cap, lining the whole area that has been cut except for the lace up at the very front. I am using a white ribbon because Pennywise has that white face paint on, and that way if the ribbon ends up showing through the wig at all, it will match the skin underneath. To get some hair to use in our hairline recovery process, I'm going to harvest a weft out of the back of the wig, which really just means removing one of those strips of hair. I just pull one out of the back middle somewhere, totally a random choice. Just don't grab one from the top that would be really obviously missing. To take a weft out, I just use a seam ripper or sharp scissors to cut the thread that is holding the weft to the elastic straps. Now, that weft, combined with the hair that we chopped off earlier, gives us some good bonus hair to work with. So I'm going to cut it into strips that are about the length of the white ribbons. Then, using hot glue, I glue them to the ribbon in rows with the hair pointing outwards towards the front of the cap. You'll be able to see this more clearly in a minute, but we are doing this so that we can disguise the chopped up edges of the wig. You'll see. So once all of that hot glue is dry, we are good to start styling up this wig. Remember when I said we were going for long and wild? Now it's time for the wild, messy bit. I am backcombing this wig to give it super volume, to make everything huge and knotted. And then I spray it down with some of my go-to freeze spray and smooth out the top layer of hair by gently combing over it with a small comb. Okay, here is why we glued those wefts to the ribbons. You can see here that cutting up this cap left these wefts exposed. You can see the jagged edge of the cap, all of that stuff. So now we're going to cover it up by folding that extra hair back over the edge of the cap. This hides all of that, and it just makes our new edge a swept back hair look. To keep it styled backwards like that and to stop it from falling back forward, I blast it with freeze spray and then I set it with the heat from a hairdryer. The heat really helps the hair reset into this new direction that it should be going. And that is one of my favorite helpful tricks to altering a hairline because it's super easy and you don't really have to worry about your edges that way. Then you just brush and style your wig however you want. And that is how I created my gender-bent Pennywise dress from the Corpse Countess costume and my Pennywise hair from the 22-inch cosplay wig. If you want to see how I did the makeup for this look, the makeup tutorial is pretty cool. And the intro is super scary, so you should probably check that out. I will link it for you, of course. And if you recreate this look for Halloween, please tag me in your pics and vids. Can't wait to see what you guys make. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next Halloween video. Bye!